22 years before the Battle of Yavin, the Clone Wars wage on as the Republic begins working on a moon-sized battle station based on a separatist design. Realizing that they will need to make a breakthrough in energy enhancement to finish the project, Lieutenant Commander Orson Krennic decides to recruit energy scientist Galen Erso to help give the breakthrough the Republic needs. While reluctant at first, Galen eventually agrees to work on the project, beginning what I'm calling the Rogue One timeline. 1 year later, Galen and Lyra Erso give birth to their daughter, Jyn Erso. During Galen's research, the galaxy comes under new order as the Republic is reorganized into the First Galactic Empire, 19 years before the Battle of Yavin. After this change, the security and surveillance around Galen becomes tighter and tighter, and Galen decides he wants to step away from the project and go into hiding. And with the help of Saw Gerrera, Galen and his family relocate to La Mu, where they pose as moisture farmers, 17 years before the Battle of Yavin. The Ersos live peacefully and quietly for 4 years until Orson Krennic returns to recruit Galen once again as the work on the project has stalled. Galen tries to lie by saying his mind isn't what it used to be, but his attempts end in Lyra's death and Galen's capture, with his daughter Jyn hiding out in an underground bunker. As Galen is taken away, Jyn waits patiently for Saw Gerrera to arrive and take her to safety. Only at the age of 8, Jyn is trained on how to fight and shoot by Saw Gerrera and becomes a hardline member of his team at the age of 14. Over the next couple years, Jyn was involved with creating forged clearance codes and passes for Saw and his team, until Saw felt comfortable enough to take her on actual missions against the Empire. But when a traitor threatened to reveal Jyn's true identity to the Empire, Saw had to take drastic measures, leaving her behind on the planet of Tamsai Prime to keep her safe from others in his group, when she was only 16. At the same time, Cassian Andor travels through Morlana 1 looking for his missing sister, when 2 officers begin harassing him, springing in motion the events of Andor Season 1. Cassian makes his way to Ferrix, where he hopes to lay low until everything blows over, but an overzealous guard by the name of Cyril stands in Cassian's way of peace and begins a die-hard manhunt for Cassian. Cassian is able to escape from Ferrix with the help of Luthen Rail, who offers Cassian a job with a small rebel cell on Aldhani, where they plan to steal the entire payroll for an Imperial sector. Casualties are large, but they manage to pull off the heist, with Cassian walking away with Nemik's manifesto and 30,000 credits. With this newly earned money, Cassian hopes to convince his mother Marva to run away with him to give her a better life, but she refuses, wanting to stay behind and fight the Empire. Cassian then leaves on his own and travels to the planet of Niyamos, where he stays for a month before being arrested for no reason and is sentenced to 6 years in prison on Narkina 5. While in prison, Cassian is required to work every day creating parts that will be used in the super laser lens of the Death Star. He doesn't stay long, however, as he, along with Kino, Loy, and Ruscott Melshi, plan a breakout which results in the entire prison shutting down. Cassian then makes his way back to Ferrix, where he learns that his mother has passed away, and during her funeral procession, the people of Ferrix take up arms against the Empire. Cassian notices Luthen in the crowd and follows him back to his ship, where he confronts Luthen with the choice of killing him or taking him in. While this goes on, we can see that the Death Star is nearing completion as the parts that Cassian built in prison are being set in place, leaving us to assume that Galen Erso is behind all of this labor. Meanwhile, Jyn Erso is helping an Imperial officer and a local crime boss smuggle slaves off of a 5 Points space station, where she is able to free the slaves and free the system, where she then continues to jump in and out of prisons and trying to survive with the remaining credits she has. From 18 years old to 21, Jyn jumps from planet to planet trying to stay hidden from everyone until a job brings her back to the 5 Points system. While in system, Jyn is captured by an Imperial admiral, where she is forced to infiltrate and spy on a rebel group with the promise of freedom after their capture. Jyn tries to tell the crew that they should not trust her, and as a result, they are shocked when they learn of Jyn's betrayal. Unfortunately, it gets worse as the admiral lied to Jyn and arrests her as well, putting her in a labor camp on Wobani, just months before the Battle of Yavin, leading us to the events of Rogue One, with the infiltration of Scarif and the Death Star plans falling into rebel hands, giving us our current Rogue One timeline. I will update this again once Season 2 of Andor is out, but so far we have quite a few events in these 21 years. I also want to add that some of these dates are just estimates, as I know not all of them are official. The book Catalyst, for example, is set between 21 BBY and 17 BBY, but some writings have Jyn being born 22 years before the Battle of Yavin, but her birth is in Catalyst. So this video is either correct or off by 1 year. Just keep that in mind. Overall though, this was the the first Star Wars timeline video I've ever made, and it was actually a lot of fun, so I really hope you all enjoyed. I'm sure I left out some major events, and since we have yet to see the events of Andor Season 2, I was not comfortable with adding the Cassian Andor comic events to this timeline. But if there is something that I missed that you feel is important, leave a comment down below, and I will add it to the revised timeline next year. As always, thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video, and we hope to see you again very soon.